monitor. Hello and welcome to Kryton Live. My name is Michael Kryton, and this is episode 7, a show that looks at how science and art is connecting with children and what that kind of communication is all about. I'm going to be joined today by a very old friend of mine, Maria Laskar, who's in the Laurentians in Quebec. We'll be joining her shortly. She is a writer, producer, director, photographer, videographer, cook, janitor, bottle cleaner. She does it all. Very talented lady who has been involved in theater and film and television and music throughout her career. We're also going to be joined by some very, very special guests that she has worked with and associated with, one being a person by the name of Sheila Anderson, who is an administrator at MIT in the lab there at Parsons Lab. She plays a character called Professor Blue. And in this show, we're going to talk about who Professor Blue is and what that means to children in terms of science and art. We're also going to be joined by Matthew Gardner, formerly Executive Director of Earth System Initiative at MIT. He is presently the Director for SustainServe.com in the Boston area. And our other guest who will be joined is Tim Anderson, Executive Director of World Computer Exchange in Hull, Massachusetts. So before we get into the substance of today's show, let's take a look at what Professor Blue is all about. And when we come back, we'll talk to Maria Laskar and find out what the secret is to Professor Blue.
Oh, water! It's hot!
Ooh! Hello, everybody! I'm Professor Blue. How many times a day do we use water? Pull here, find out.
A wacky character, Maria, that you've created. Maria Laskar, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Michael.
I have no idea what's going to happen. Yes. Why don't you tell me a bit? Now, your company is 2K2 Productions. There is a site, 2k2productions.com. You also have a site specifically for Professor Blue, professorblue.com. Before we get into that, give us a little bit of your background in terms of where you've been and how you arrived at Professor Blue.
Well, since I last saw you, it was 75 when I graduated from National Theatre School, and we worked together on a children's musical that we toured in Northern Ontario. You had a lead role there. And then I was asked to direct huge mega shows for the Saint Jean-Baptiste at the Conventum. And I also did a huge mega show with the rights that I got from Paco Pena and the Metropolitan Choir in Montreal. I was then asked to interview and film about 300 people at the first Summit of Women in Power, and I interviewed people like Cher Height, Marilyn French, Secretary of States and ambassadors from all over the world, and I was invited actually by the Secretary of State to Norway and then to Iraq, where I filmed Mesopotamia, which is the sacred land between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. These pictures are up on 2K2. They were published in the Dagbladet Norway newspaper and also in various prestigious magazines and newspapers all over the world. Then, of course, I came back from that, and I was asked to write series of commercials and public announcements, and I did that in both French and English, and had one translated in Japanese, and it won an award in Japan. Then I wrote scenarios for feature films, translated feature films, and basically that takes me to 2006 in a nutshell, where I met my partner Sheila Anderson from MIT, and she showed me some videotapes that they had tried to do for outreach to kids involving science, art, and the environment. And I thought they were pretty lame. So I decided I can do this. I'm going to write a new series for kids involving these issues. So I was introduced to Professor Heidi Neff at MIT, whose work involves where does drinking water come from and how water moves. And basically, I took her research and I wrote a series of podcasts. Actually, there are 3. We'll see 2 today. And I then was introduced to Matthew Gardner, who was the executive director at Earth System Initiative at MIT, who became my mentor and made this possible. He funded this in part with the MIT Arts Council.
Well, maybe we can take a look very quickly, Marie. I just, Evan, if you want to call up the my laptop, this is the Professor Blue website, professorblue.com. So if you are online, you can visit that and find out more about it and how to connect to the project. So Professor Blue, in your opinion, then was an opportunity to use science and art in a more constructive way to communicate with children. And we're going to talk to Sheila Anderson in a short time and find out how she became involved. But from your perspective, just very quickly, why Professor Blue? Where did that all come from?
What's important that people need to know is there are more female scientists out there than there are male in the world doing work out in the field. So I decided to pick a female scientist, which had never been done before and still is not done, and develop her with her mobile lab, investigating the planet and probing the planet so that she can figure out how we can save the planet and talk to kids who have questions and who fear all that is happening today. Exactly.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to take a look before we meet Sheila Anderson, who actually is an administrator at the Parsons Lab at MIT. She'll be joining us. Let's take a look at a more substantial clip of Professor Blue featuring Sheila Anderson.
Did you know that only 3% of all of the world's water is drinkable and the rest no good for humans? Would you make lemonade out of ocean water? Nope, don't think so. Lemonade, lemons, sugar, fresh water. Oh, no. Water must be clean. Water must be clean. You know where you're doing. We build reservoirs to save rainwater. Otherwise, the water runs off and causes flooding. We build reservoirs the same way as beavers do, without the big teeth. But how does water really get to your house? Through these big pipes! I can stand up inside this pipe! These pipes can carry water 100 miles! Phew! That is far! Next time, I'll tell you how water becomes dirty, polluted, unclean. Till then, be clean! I'm done.
I got to get me some of that blue hair. That's what I got to do. I definitely got to get... Listen, we're joined by Sheila Anderson. Sheila, you look beautiful. You're looking
Thank
gorgeous.
you.
Listen, have you basically reinvented fashion at MIT in the lab? Because we know MIT does some pretty strange projects as it is.
No, I'm just carrying on the tradition.
There you go. Professor Blue is a character that was created by Maria Laskar, who is joined us from Quebec, and from Massachusetts from MIT.
Hi, Sheila.
Sheila Anderson. Tell me the story of how you guys got connected, and just a little bit about the process from your perspective, Sheila.
Well, Michael, we just wanted to join the bandwagon because it seemed like so much fun to talk about science, and we are surrounded by scientists, and we wanted to help continue get the word out because the more the merrier. And and I work for a professor who gave us some science, Professor Heidi Neff at MIT, and we took off with it. And Maria created the character. She created a character because I am Professor Blue. I am real. I'll have you know.
Yes. I had the privilege of finding out yesterday. I wasn't sure, but finally my mind was set at ease. Now, what kind of response? So, what kind of response have you seen from the project in terms of who's viewed it and what their reactions have been?
Well, we have been tracking it just a little bit, but we've been posting it various places. On YouTube is the most recent one. We had to take our YouTube post down when we were involved in an online festival, so we just reposted. But whenever we have a show, we do a live show on occasion. We've done for the Cambridge Science Festival and also for the Museum of Science. That's Cambridge, Massachusetts to you.
Yes,
and,
it is.
and we had between I think between 10 and 20,000 hits to our website www.professorblue.com. And so we also received letters from school children. Actually, we received drawings, and we even had a couple of kids sing songs. They wanted their songs to be part of the Professor Blue experience, I guess.
So it sounds like it's already beginning to show a lot of engagement. I mean, obviously, if children are offering to participate creatively, that says volumes. I suppose I might assume that soon there will be Professor Blue action figures, toothpaste, towels, clothing line, pillows, bedding. I imagine it's all coming down the pike.
I hope not, but talk about the blog, Sheila.
Yeah,
the Blue.
So I'm also not only am I a video action figure and an extraordinary scientist explainer in water, I am also the writer for the Bloog. And you might ask, what is a Bloog? Well, Professor Blue has a blog. And rather than just have it be like a blog like everybody else, it's a Bloog. And I use this to highlight science that's already being written about or talked about, but just using a Mad magazine, Cracked magazine, because those were very influential to me.
In fact, Evan, if you can call up the website while she speaks about this, because I believe it's on your site, professorblue.com, correct?
That's right. It's the first page you get into. It's the first thing you get into. Like, you are automatically entered into the world of the Bloog when you go to Professor.
Talk about our collaborators.
We certainly can. You're talking about Matthew Gardner and Tim Anderson?
No, I'm talking about the Bloog.
Oh, the Bloog.
Our interest is to include artists and musicians and artists of all stripes to sort of fuse with science and to sort of get the word out in the most creative and interesting way possible for non-scientists. I think the science itself is very interesting in and of itself, so I don't want to dismiss anybody's science, but it could also be like a foot in the door to people who might be on the fence about science if they had guides. So we are working with cartoonist Linda Berry. She's given us the rights to use a song that we will be using in a slideshow coming soon. And we've also been in contact. We've got rights for art from a Parisian artist that we'll be including soon. And we're also, I have other things, but nothing has been signed yet. But we're all in talking and negotiations.
Well, it sounds like what's wonderful is certainly the initiative taken by MIT, and it's nice that there's a connection to Canadian talent in terms of this project. And I wish we could go into more depth, but frankly, I want to take a little bit of a break so I can go dye my hair and feel more in tune and kind of align myself with the creative theme that we've got here. We've been talking to Sheila Anderson, who is Professor Blue. You can enjoy her blog at professorblue.com. When we come back, we will be talking with Matthew Gardner, who is presently the director for SustainServe.com in the Boston area. So let's thank Sheila Anderson, Professor Blue. Thank you for joining us, and let's take another look.
Thank you.
Let's take another look at her fine work in this little episode of Professor Blue.
Water become polluted, dirty, unhealthy. Rain washes the loose soil off the land into the river, where homes are being built, making water muddy and dirty. What is happening here? We want our water to be clean. Would anyone drink this water? Do the fish like this? How about the plants? They need light for energy. Rain falls over the ground and picks up soil and other things. Roads collect salt, motor oil, gasoline. Farm fertilizers are picked up by the runoff and are carried into lakes. Bad for us. Who wants to drink oil, salt, pesticides? Bad for animals and plants too. The runoff picks up everything and carries it all into streams, lakes, and reservoirs. So how do we protect the water? The truth is, we humans put a lot of chemicals into the environment. To understand how this will affect the water, we need to know more about how water gets into the reservoir and how it moves around. Do you know where your drinking water comes from? To understand how water moves, we fill this vial with water and oil. See how the clear and blue fluids behave? Water and oil do not mix. Why do some things sink and others float? Some fluids are lighter than others. The lighter fluids will float on the heavier fluids. Just like a ball on water. Which is heavier, cold or warm water? Complete your hypothesis on paper. A hypothesis is our best guess of how things work. Next week, we will test our hypothesis with an experiment. Till then, keep your hands clean and keep away from pesticides. Already done.
Suddenly, I feel like going to the bathroom with that last thing. It's sort of like Andy Warhol meets Monty Python.
Exactly.
It's kind of what I'm getting from this, Maria.
Exactly.
Only from your brain could such a character ever emerge. I can trust me. I got over 30 years of experience knowing that.
No.
We are joined now by your very good friend, Mr. Matthew Gardner. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Matt. Hi.
Hi, folks. How are you, Michael?
Good.
It's nice to see you.
Good
Nice
to see
you, Matt.
You're formerly the executive director of Earth System Initiative at MIT, and you're presently the director for SustainServe.com in the Boston area. Maybe you guys can share with me how two very unusual people would meet and start to create something like this. Where did it all happen?
Yeah, fair enough. Maria, do you want to take this or shall I?
Go.
Okay, fair enough. So, Michael, it's a pleasure to join you. Thanks for the opportunity. So, as you said, I used to be the executive director of an outfit called the Earth System Initiative at MIT, which is a multidisciplinary environmental research program headquartered there. And I had the pleasure of meeting Maria and Professor Blue at one point, and we had the opportunity to provide some support to put together or to partially support that video that you just saw. Part of our mission at the Earth System Initiative, part of my work that I do now, is to find new ways to communicate to people about energy and the environment and sustainability-related issues. When I saw the creativity that Maria and Professor Blue brought to the table, I thought it was just a wonderful opportunity for us to collaborate and to put together a very different kind of tool, a different kind of communication platform about these very important issues.
Now, obviously, Maria, you really pushed the envelope creatively with this, and so what was the initial reaction to the initial concept? By the way, if I may ask you, Matthew, to re-click your video button on your Skype system, just so that we can, because right now we're seeing you as a person who actually doesn't move. You're just a fixed, an unanimated object in the universe. So if you could do that for us, that would be great. I mean, it's amazing he can talk without his lips moving. That's even better, I guess. So Maria, when you first presented the direction that with Professor Blue, what was the response?
Well, obviously, I had to do a storyboard first, and Heidi loved it. And then when I met with Matt and I started explaining what my vision was and what kind of music I was going to compose for this, he said, "This is great," and he put it into my mind that this belongs as a television show. Way back then, it's in 2006, and I've had it stuck in here since then, and I've added new characters to join in with Professor Blue, which when we performed at the Cambridge Science Festival and at the Boston Museum of Science, I added Professor Blanca, and I've been writing for a TV series. So the response, and at the MIT Arts Council, was great. It was so great that they all funded me that very day.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear. We still don't have any video of you, Matthew, but that's okay. This is internet television, so we're used to people being an animated white character on a blue background. I want to talk a bit about SustainServe, and Evan, if you want to call up the website, tell me a bit about SustainServe.
Yeah, fair enough. We are a global consultancy based in Boston and also in Zurich, Switzerland. We work with companies around the world on corporate sustainability initiatives. In parallel with that, we also work on a number of major projects, including a project down in Houston, Texas called EarthQuest. EarthQuest is a real estate development project that is anchored by what will be a 600-acre Disney-class theme park, a world-class theme park that's all messaged around energy and the environment. We see this as a wonderful opportunity to bring the message around energy, the environment, and sustainability to a whole segment of the population that might not be thinking about these issues, but who are interested in experiencing a great theme park experience. And then we can layer on top of that these higher order messages around energy and the environment. As my good friend Chris Brown, who's the president of Contour Entertainment, who's designing the theme park, says, "If it ain't fun, they won't come."
No, absolutely. No, we're taking a look at it now on the screen from the website, and the concept is, I mean, this is a great activation. I think certainly amusement parks are amusement parks, and really the activation is just fun. But in this case, what I like about it is the incredible depth of engagement that it offers in terms of education, information, visual stimulation. It has, it seems, all of those qualities. When do you see this becoming a reality?
So we are in the process right now of securing the first round financing for it, which, as you can imagine, in this economy despite things really turning around, has been something of a challenge. What we have going for us is the fact that Houston, being the 4th largest metropolitan area in the country right now, is the only one of the top 11 that is not serviced by a major theme park. This is a good business model. It's a good business for this part of the country. So based upon that, we're getting a lot of interest from the investment community. We're very confident that we'll secure financing for this, and we hope to be breaking ground by the end of this calendar year, after which it'll be about a 2-year build for the project.
For any of you that are online currently, you can go to earthquestadventures.com. And you can take a look at the illustrations to show the scope of the project. There's also a tab there where you can find out everything you need to know about the development, the project leaders. There's also a contact tab for investor information. So for those of you that are so inclined, I think it would be a tremendous investment, because this really is the kind of thing that I've never seen. And I think it redefines what amusement can be, and it becomes more of an activation and an engagement. I want to thank you so much for joining me, Matthew, on the show. I think that certainly down the road I'll want to reconnect with you and see how the project is going, if you'll be kind enough to join me at a future date.
Michael, I'd be delighted to. Thank you for the opportunity, Maria. It's great seeing you, as always.
Thank you, Matthew. And Professor Blue is always open to coming to Houston.
Very good. I'm sure we'll be talking about that.
Okay. We've been talking to Matthew
this.
Gardner, formerly Executive Director of Earth System Initiative at MIT and presently the Director for SustainServe.com in the Boston area. We want to thank him for joining us. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will connect with Tim Anderson, the Executive Director of World Computer Exchange in Hull, Massachusetts. So stay with us.
Hello, I'm Walter Schwabe, Executive Producer of Fuse Logic TV, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new show called Gov2. Tune in to learn more about what's happening in government around the world. We're telling your stories. If you're innovating in government, using technologies that you didn't use before, we want to hear about it. Contact us at fuselogic.tv and tune in every Thursday afternoon at 1:30 to watch the show and participate. We'll see you then.
Yes, and I'm going to have the opportunity to host episode 3 of Gov2 because the inimitable Mr. Schwabe is in Kananaskis, sharing his expertise with those who will listen to him, and I'm hoping he's having a good time if he's watching us right now. You're there and I'm here. How did that work out? All right, let's move on. Connecting with children through science and art. And someone who's played a significant role with Maria Laskar is Tim Anderson, the Executive Director of World Computer Exchange in Hull, Massachusetts. So, Maria, tell me how you ran into Tim.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for coming. I met Tim through Sheila Anderson, Professor Blue, and I was doing an installation for the Status Center at MIT, and it was the architect is Canadian, actually. Frank Gehry is his name. So therefore, the CAQ, the Conseil des Arts et des Lettres in Quebec, was funding me for this, as well as MIT once again. And so I needed computers in order to loop all my videos and create this installation. So therefore, Tim came into the picture, and he was generous enough to loan us his shipment of computers before he sent them out to developing countries. So I was able to do my installation, and that's how I met Tim.
Well, that's great, Tim. Obviously, I got her to tell that story so that you can take us into the next step. This is quite a program. How far-reaching is the program now?
World Computer Exchange works in 71 different developing countries, so that's pretty far-reaching. We ship computers mainly, but we also develop content that we preload into the computers. And of course, we now, having watched this show up to this point, desperately need to be loading Professor Blue into the computers that we're shipping to the different countries.
I sense a new iconic avatar in development with Professor Blue. Evan, if I could ask you to bring up my laptop. This is worldcomputerexchange.org. a very comprehensive website that shows you the scope of operation. How difficult is it, Tim, to manifest the programs in countries where where things are not as developed? Because, I mean, it's one thing to have refurbished computers and they're ready to go, but what about the infrastructure in some of the countries you're dealing with and their ability to handle it? Because I would just think it's not just a matter of dropping off a bunch of computers. There's being able to connect them in terms of connectivity to the internet and so on. What challenges have you faced in developing the program, and what challenges do you encounter?
Well, we usually start with an organization about 2 years before we actually ship the computers. And we do everything we can to help develop the organization in helping them with PR, fundraising, developing a technology plan, anything that they're going to run into as difficulties. A lot of them haven't had much experience with computers, especially not inside of their school. So we're encouraging them to go out to the electric company and to the internet service provider way ahead of time to make sure that they can make those arrangements. Often even after a year or two after the delivery of the computers are not necessarily connected to the internet. Probably about half are connected in the first year, and another quarter in the second year. We also help out with exchanges between schools in Canada and in the States with the countries we send to. And then, like I said, preloading a lot of different types of content. So we gather content that has to do with health, math and science, all different sides of education, but also things like agriculture, culture. So a lot of times different groups will recommend content we load into the computers. We're constantly looking for new content. I'm president of an organization called World Computer Exchange Canada, and one of our board members and our vice president is a professor at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Kareem Jamal.
Oh, that's great. I didn't realize that. So it's here at home because this show, our studios are sound in Edmonton. You've lost sound? Oh, we'll work on that. Okay. I was just wondering, Tim, did Maria really have to twist your arm to get you involved when she approached you?
I was minding my own business, trying to raise money, trying to help out our partners, working with our 700 different volunteers in all these different countries. And Maria came bursting upon the scene with a magnitude that can't be captured on computers or video. And I calmly responded, huh? And she said, well, we need 100 computers. We need 100 monitors. And we're going to pile them up in a giant pile at MIT. And it was like, really? Okay.
Well, only Maria would think of those things. She's always thought outside the box, and I think that now that you've made this public commitment to incorporate Professor Blue into your program, we'll have to hold you to that, Tim. Yeah. I think it would be a great opportunity. It would be interesting to see the reaction in other countries to Professor Blue, and I'm sure that's not too far away. Tim Anderson, who is the director of WorldComputerExchange.org, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program, and I wish you all the best and continued success with the program throughout the world. It is a very worthwhile cause. I would encourage those of you who are viewing to go to WorldComputerExchange.org. If you can donate, please do. They are in over 70 countries, and obviously the program is giving something back to communities, giving something to communities that don't have the opportunity necessarily. Without organizations like this, we would all be standing still. Tim, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Well, we're at the bottom part of the program, Maria, and all your dirty secrets have come out. I think we found out everything we need to know. We can bring Maria back up on the screen there, Evan, if that's possible. And I just wanted to quickly connect with you to talk about. You have a book in development. I know that you're limited in what you can say about it. Professor Blue Top Secret Lab Journal. Can you tell me anything about the developing project?
Okay, I've written a first book, an illustrated book, and it is Professor Blue Top Secret Lab Journal. And I worked with an illustrator from St. Louis, Jenny Shipman, and we connected through friends, and we worked online, and we met in Chicago, and she did a fantastic job. Now, this book is also translated into French, and I have a following of 6 or 8 books that are going to follow that book. But one thing I have to mention, I was inspired in doing this book because I worked for David Suzuki Foundation all of last year, and I wrote live radio capsules for radio stations across Canada on the Suzuki Report. So therefore, inspired by that and the research and everything that I did for them, I incorporated fact sheets or real facts in the illustrated books for kids between the ages of 7 and 11. And that'll be coming out soon, maybe for another program with us. So that's my ultimate, and my coming up projects are an animated comic book, and I'll be working with Lisa Dufresne, whom you know from Guelph. She's an artist that does giant puppets. So I'm going to be working on a series of insects and Professor Blue, and we'll be touring festivals with that.
Well, obviously no shortage of fun and creativity at your end. This brings us to a close for episode 7. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Despite some minor technical glitches, I think that the content today is well worthwhile. And I would like to thank our guests, Matthew Gardner, who was the director of SustainServe.com in Boston as well. Tim Anderson, again, thank you so much, from World Computer Exchange. And, of course, Sheila Anderson, the original Professor Blue. I hope she will continue to play that role. She does it so well. Maria Laskar of 2K2 Productions. You can go to her website, 2k2productions.com. You can also visit professorblue.com. We've been talking to one of the most dynamic and active producer-director writers I know from the Laurentians in Quebec. Maria, thank you so much for joining me on Kryton Live.
Thank you, Kryton. Michael, I love you. And if you want to buy the video, go on our websites and let me know.
We certainly will. Thank you. And,
Thank you.
And for anyone who wants to get more involved, the website and make direct contact. Professor Blue, especially if you're in education, Professor Blue might be just the kind of thing that you're looking for to bring a little life into the classroom and let science and art connect with your children. Thank you for joining me.